So on Saturday, 20 years ago, the Marshall Mathers LP was released. And here's where I was when this album was released.
It's the return of the... Oh, wait, no, wait, you're kidding. He didn't just say what I think he did he?
This album is older than me. It was here before I was actually born. And seeing as it's been 20 years since the album has released, I thought what better time to talk about the album on my channel, because if you do not know already, I am a huge Eminem stan. So let's put on the Eminem hat and let's get talking about Marshall Mathers LP1. I've got the track list on my phone right now and I'm just going to go through each song and just give my quick opinions on it. Starting out, we have the Public Service Announcement 2000, and what this one is, I know I'm going to look into it a bit too much, but I think it's a very clever intro to an album that is a bit more personal, because if you compare it to the Slim Shady LP, at the end of that he says don't do drugs in a sarcastic sort of way and shit, and that whole thing's just being, it's actually like clarifying that it's just a character he's playing in the Slim Shady LP, whereas this one actually sort of like, he says at the end of it, sue me. And also in terms of what the actual like narrator slash voiceover guy is saying, it clearly shows you that it's like a bit more of a personal project, and I think it's just a clever intro for starting out an album to sort of tell people what it's about. And then the first actual song that you get in the album I think is the perfect start, and when you think of Kill You, you can easily think of the first line. When I was just a little baby boy, my mama used to tell me these crazy things. She used to tell me my daddy was an evil man. She used to tell me he hated me, and then just go on, because I think that's a literal perfect start to a song and an album. And as well as that, the song itself actually is a good opener for showing like everything that's been going on in Eminem's life, and just sort of telling people, look, this is what I'm going through, and if you fuck with me, I'm gonna kill you. And like the song itself, in terms of the name and like the chorus and whatnot, and saying I will kill you, it's like playing on how Eminem was looked at the time, with how people, especially in America, were looking at him like what he was saying he actually meant, and it was like trying to like tell them, if you're taking me seriously, then yeah, I'm gonna kill you. And that theme is something you see a lot of within this album.
My thing is this: if I'm sick enough to think it, or I'm wrong enough to think it, then I'm wrong enough to say it.
The next song, obviously, I don't need to say too much about, because it is Stan, and this song is taken up, like, it literally made a new word, essentially, out of a name. Yeah, it works. That's how iconic this is. Like, you hear the word Stan brought up to this day in 2020, especially on Twitter, which the less said about, the better, I think. After that, you have the pool skit. It is what it is. And then you have Who Knew, which is basically just about Eminem's success and like how he didn't really know he was going to get it, and how everyone else didn't really know how much success he was actually going to get, and then just like exceeding those expectations. Then you have Steve Berman, and with, I think there's overall 3, maybe 4 of these like skits in like throughout Eminem's whole discography. But what I really do like about it is it kind of like, obviously Eminem scripted it and he's put it in the album, and it's sort of like him being self-conscious about his album and how people actually look at it. So it's like, some people will just look over this skit, but I think it's very clever in terms of like actually like pointing out the obvious and like sort of shutting down the criticism of what people may have of it. But anyway, next up you have The Way I Am. And this song overall is just basically saying fuck you to the media. And what I think I should have said earlier about Kill You is that song I think is a bit of a trailer for the album, and like this is everything I'm going to go through on this album is what Eminem is saying. And taking a stance to get everyone who like has that perspective on him. The Way I Am is the song that goes through all of that, like in its full like entirety. Then the next song that comes after The Way I Am is The Real Slim Shady, and what else do I need to even say about this song? All I need to do is do this, risk a copyright strike, and you already know what's great about the song.
May I have your attention, please?
And then I feel like this is the first trip up after that song, which is Remember Me. Remember Me is a song that if I listen to the full album, it's like, that's the moment where I sort of like turn off. It's a song that it is what it is. It's not one I'm ever going to come back to and listen to, but when I do listen to it, it's just sort of like whatever, it doesn't mean much to me. I think the best part about the song is like the ending of it and how it links into the next song, I'm Back. And I'm Back I think is a fun, like, almost, is that the right word, groovy? It's like it got a nice groove and flow to it that I really like listening to Eminem's lyrics, where it's like, I murder a rhyme 1 word at a time. You never heard of a mind as perverted as mine. It's like that sort of flow I really enjoyed listening to on I'm Back. And even the hook I really like, and in some ways I guess you could call it an Eminem underrated song, but I don't feel like it's really like one that I'm gonna go out my way. If someone's never heard of an Eminem song, I'm not going to go, oh, you should listen to I'm Back ever. It's just one I'd let people discover, and I feel like it's one of those things that you either like it or you don't like it. And then after that you have Marshall Mathers, which is just a very obviously personal song talking about his life and stuff, and I feel like it's one of the most meaningful and deeper songs on the album. And then you get the skit that always gets a skip from me, Ken Kenneth. When I'm listening to my music, I don't really need to hear a dude get sucked off, but it is what it is. And then after that, this is actually one of my favourite songs on the album, weirdly enough, but Drug Ballad. Like, this song, like, I really enjoy the beat, and I feel like it's almost a prelude to Superman in a way on the Eminem show. I really like the hook on it, I really like Eminem's verses on it, and I think it's a really nice song that I would actually go out my way to listen to. And one that I think is actually really underrated. After that you have Amityville, which is Eminem and Bizarre, but the song doesn't really bother me too much. It's one that I can listen to, but I'm never going to go back and listen to as well. It's a bit of a, I guess you can call it a bit of a forgettable one on this album. Not that it's a bad song, but it's not one you're ever going to be like, oh yeah, Amityville. And part of that, no offense to Bizarre, but I think like Eminem, he's very good at like walking this fine line between like being like over the top and being sadistic and like being a bit fucked up in sort of certain ways, whereas Bizarre, I feel like he goes too over the line. I think like he needed to bring it back a little bit too much, because I think talking about the fact that you raped your little sister is a bit, it's not what I want to hear. But I will admit, Eminem did talk about getting raped by his stepdad in like Relapse, and it's like, am I being a bit like biased to Eminem saying like, oh, Eminem's fine, he knows how to walk the line, and like Bizarre can't, when in certain ways Eminem has done like said more fucked up stuff than Bizarre in some ways, or but has he? I'm not sure. I think this song is a little bit thrown off because of what Bizarre says in some stuff. Obviously I don't take it seriously, but I think it's just like I think he was trying to outdo Eminem a bit too much in terms of like his shock factor. Then you have Bitch Please number 2, and I think it's a fine song. It's not one I find myself listening to, but when it gets to the song in the album, I can like get a good like head bop going to it, and I really enjoy it, and the beat's good. You got a load of other rappers on the track, Nate Dogg, Exhibit, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and obviously Eminem. It's just part 2 of Bitch Please 1, isn't it? And that song's followed up by Kim, which I think you either like it or you don't. And I think, obviously, me going back to what I was saying about Bizarre sort of like pointless, I think that's the thing I can say about Bizarre and Eminem, right? Bizarre sort of pointlessly says something, and it's just like, why are you saying that? Whereas Eminem, he's talking about killing his wife, and he says a lot of fucked up shit in it. But I think it's hiding a deeper meaning within that, in terms of how he actually feels about stuff. And there's a bit more like, there's just a bit more depth to it in terms of like beyond him just saying he's going to kill her and whatnot. There's a bit more emotion behind it. And we're nearly reaching the end, but then you have Under the Influence, which is Eminem and D12. And when this song comes on, it's like I instantly just like, I have to go along with it. It's just a piss about song, really. And again, it's not one I'm going to go out of my way to listen to or add to a playlist or just like randomly have a like itch to actually go and listen to it. It's nothing like that. It's just another one where I listen to the album and it hits me, I'm like, oh, I forgot about this song. Actually, it's a fun one just to listen to for a one-off. And then you have another song by Eminem, which I think, if you're an Eminem fan, you know about it and you think it's a great song, but if you're just like a casual Eminem listener, then I think it's one that's underrated, which is Criminal. I think the lyrics, the meaning, and the flow of this song is great. Like, this is one that I would, like, if someone did, like, who didn't actually, like, listen to a lot of Eminem stuff and didn't know about the song, I would say go out your way to listen to that song because of how great it is. And I think it's another song, again, on the album following that theme of how media looks at him and stuff, and just sort of, like, saying that he is, like, if he does all these things that he does, then he would be a criminal, and he wouldn't be making music the way he is, and he wouldn't be as successful as he is. He wouldn't like be a good father like he is, and it's a great song. And then finally after that you have The Kids, and I actually read about something the other day about this song, and it's basically that he actually made the song when certain like versions of the album wouldn't allow Kim to be on it, so he made this song as a replacement. It's basically a South Park sort of parody type thing, and talking about drugs and the impacts they can have. And I think it does a very good job at being comedic. Maybe it's a little bit childish at some points and a bit like dumb, I guess, but I think it's a good ending track in the sort of sense of like, yeah, you heard me talk about doing drugs and all this, but it's also sort of trying to like make a song that some like, when people listen to it, they get Eminem's not actually telling you to do drugs when you're actually smart enough to notice the actual satirical side of it, or just normal to realise it. But it's basically Eminem just teaching you about how drugs are bad. And that's overall what I think of each song. And I'll just quickly go over, because I know I've spent a lot of time talking about each song, I will just go over how I feel about the album overall. Is it the perfect rap album? No. The reason I say that is because I think the perfect like just album in general has to have like a whole list of tracks that are unskippable. You listen to the album and there's nothing you want to skip through. On this album there are songs that I think are either just songs I don't really care about too much. There are songs that I just don't want to listen to. The skits sort of break up them and not any of the actual album. However, is this album a classic? Yes. I think at the time it was made, there weren't too many personal rap projects, and there probably are a lot more like albums like before this project, they're a bit more personal. Maybe like some of Jay-Z's stuff, some of Nas. But I think overall Eminem was the one which sort of made talking about more personal things a bit more mainstream to people, and being like opening up like rappers especially to being like, look, you can talk about being personal and it can do well. And especially at that time I think it was very needed when he was being looked at as a villain.
Eminem is a great artist, but genius is no excuse for prejudice. The sad fact is that much of his lyrics contain abusive, threatening and violent fantasies about women and gay people. I don't think that's acceptable. I think it fuels those who feel prejudice. It reinforces their bigotry. It gives them a validation. It makes them feel that prejudice is cool. It isn't about freedom of expression. It isn't about pushing back the boundaries. He's deliberately targeting two of the most vulnerable groups in our society. He won't attack black people, quite rightfully and thankfully, because he's scared of their reactions.
I think a lot of people listen to singles and think, yeah, I've heard worse, but I think actually if you look at some of the album tracks and some of the stuff he hasn't released, it's a lot worse and a lot darker and a lot harder to defend than some of the radio-friendly and more commercial stuff that we hear more often.
And I think this album was probably could be looked at what saved him in his career. Not like it was going down or anything, it was just going up, but it sort of like saved his perception at the very least of how he was from the outside almost. And I think if you're going to have an amazing album, you need at least 3 amazing songs that are just like going to top it, depending on the track list. If there's more songs, obviously you're going to need like a good 4 or 5, but I think for the amount of tracks that are on this, you need at least 3 that are going to like top it, and those for me are Stan, The Real Slim Shady, and Criminal. Those are the 3 songs that I put as the top 3 of this album that make it the classic that it is. And I mean, Criminal can probably be switched out for something. Personally, I would actually put Drug Ballad in there because I really do enjoy the beat of that, the flow of it, the actual melody of it. I like that song a lot. And I think that's one of the things about the album. It's like, there are songs that people are definitely not going to like, but there's a lot of them that you can be like, depending on your personality and what you like, what your taste is, you can be like, I like that song, I enjoy that song, I don't enjoy that one too much. But like, just because there's a bad song or like a song you don't enjoy as much, it doesn't mean you don't like it. So like Amityville or Bitch Please 2, like those sort of songs, like they're ones that I'm not too keen on, but when I listen to them, it's like I'm not too bothered about how good they sound or how bad they are. And it's not that they're bad, it's just that they're songs that I think there are better ones on the album than them, and it's like they're not songs I'm going to go out of my way to skip. But as I said as well, like the Ken Kenneth skit, I think that was a very skippable track. And it's like there's just a load of stuff on this album that you could potentially just like not enjoy, but to make up for that, there's a ton of stuff that you're gonna enjoy, whether that's maybe not a whole song on its own, but some of the content within that song you are gonna like hearing what Eminem's got to say. So when people look back on this album as being a classic or one of their favorite albums of all time, I think it's deserved. Obviously it's like all down to opinions and whatnot, but I think this album definitely stands up to this day as a great classic rap album. And I think I'm going to wrap up the video there. I've talked a lot about Marshall Mathers LP. I will probably be doing another one of these very soon, because I believe in June is the 10-year anniversary of Recovery, and just a bit of a spoiler, that's my favourite Eminem album. But my overall ranking of the Marshall Mathers LP, I would definitely say is in my top 3. If you want to see more videos like this from me, I know my last video was an Eminem unboxing of the Music to Be Murdered by vinyl, so if you want to go and watch that, go and press the card that just appeared in top right, and you can go and give that a watch and let me know about your thoughts on that album on that video in the comments there. But let me know your opinion on the Marshall Mathers LP. What are your overall thoughts on it? What do you like? What's your favourite songs? What's something you don't like about it? Comment down below and let me know, because I'd really like to know your guys' opinions from one stand to another. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, because that will help me like get a gauge of whether or not I could do more videos like this in the future, as I said about doing the Recovery one for its 10-year anniversary, and it would just be a great way for me to know if you want to see more of these. And as always, subscribe. I've been Oliver Drinkerstone, and thank you very much for watching this video. I shall see you in the next one. Later.
Gonna flex, you better have some money or some muscle. Me, I got hustle, cause I tussle with my struggles every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. One thing you never hear is I give up. Why? I'm tough. If I'm stuck, I get right up.